Hello everyone. We are down to the last two parts of the ASL project, 5 and 6. So now it's time for you to really look at the data that you have and start to think about what the students know and what they don't know. And that's what the analysis of student learning is all about. So for part 5, you're going to look at conclusions and patterns about students' performance as a whole. So this section is going to be about general themes. And each of these bullet points needs to be addressed. One of the easiest way to do this is to use the bullet points as headers and then just write your paragraph or two underneath. So you want to make sure that you talk about the misconceptions, patterns of error, then what students did well with patterns of accuracy, and this is across the whole class, okay? And then you want to talk about the breadth and depth of student learning. And so just sort of a heads up, the breadth is, does the assessment completely address all of the standards and objectives, all the learning targets that were listed? So that's the breadth. The depth of student learning are those Bloom's taxonomy levels. So that's what you can talk about here. Go back to the previous parts of this project and look at those taxonomic levels and talk about how the assessment did or did not meet those levels. So that's the breadth and the depth. And then finally, you're sort of going to put it all together and synthesize it. So based on your conclusions about the patterns of student performance, you want to think about what would you do next as an instructor? And then you want to address how will those steps improve student learning and address unique students' needs, okay? So once you talk about what students did well, what students didn't do well, how they had breadth or depth in their understanding, then you want to put together sort of a little plan, a remediation plan. And if everyone did really well, then you want to think about, okay, so what can I do to extend their learning or to challenge them more? So it's sort of looking at both ends of the spectrum there. Now, part 6 is sort of focusing down even more. And part 6 is looking at just one student's performance. Now, you want to choose a student who has some sort of an interesting data set. Okay, if you choose a student who got 100%, that is not going to be a lot for you to talk about. So make sure you choose one of the data sets from your collection that is interesting and that you have stuff to talk about. So again, these bullet points could be used as headers to make sure that you address each of these questions. So we want to know what are this particular student's misconceptions, what are this student's particular pattern of error, what did they do well, and then again, what do they know really well? Were they able to work these problems at higher levels? Did they understand all of the clarifying objectives, all of the learning targets? And that would be the breadth. They may only understand the larger ideas or one small idea. So that's something that you'll want to talk about. And then once again, you want to put together sort of a plan for this one student. A remediation plan usually is what you'll have. What will you do as a teacher to improve this student's performance next time? Okay, so this should be written in a narrative, and we have examples in the folder if you want to look at what other people have written. Oh, no, we don't have examples in the folder because they're all the same data set. Forget that. So if you want to think about this, think about it as if you're writing a report about learning and about assessment. Okay, it should be in a narrative, APA style. Watch your grammar and your typing, and make sure that it's a professional tone. When you talk about students, call them students. You don't want to call them kids or children. Okay, so make sure it's a professional tone. If you need anything, give me a call. Good luck.